All right. Awesome. Hi, everybody. I can't even tell you how excited I am for this podcast episode because we have all experienced weird ass dreams. We have also experienced dreams that we can remember so vividly, or we feel like we know exactly what's going on while we're dreaming. Some of us don't dream at all, and it can be just a weird way to wake up in the morning when you're like, what the hell did I just dream about? So I have Lynnsey here, who is phenomenal. She's a hypnotherapist and she works through the subconscious mind. She's incredible. She's beautiful. And a little snippet of her little work, she does also do dream interpreting. So I feel so lucky to have you here, Lynnsey, today, and helping all of my followers who asked a million questions about dreams. I asked everybody on my private Facebook group, Healing Grace, the podcast, and also on Instagram, I have a dream interpreter coming on. What do you want to know? And it was like, of a million questions. Yet. So thank you so much for joining us today.
I'm so excited.
I
This was like like you said, it was like a last minute thing, and I was like, "Oh my gosh, I can't wait to get into this stuff because I've never done an interview about dream interpretation before, but I don't know why I've never done that because it's such a juicy topic, isn't it? It's something that everybody experiences and everybody has those moments, as you said, that they're just like, "What's going on?" So
yeah,
I'm excited.
I'm
Thanks for
so
having
excited.
me.
And just the fact that, I love Instagram, like I've said in other podcasts, for this reason, because that's how we connected. You messaged me when I said, I need a dream interpreter. And you're like, I'm one. I was like, done. Come on, let's do this. And I think that I can just tell by your soul that you're just such a wisdom filled soul and have definitely been on this life journey many, many times before all this. So I am happy it's you and that we can start talking about dreaming and also talk about hypnotherapy. Definitely want to get into that too. So I think before we get started, I want to know a little bit more about you. So, are you one that always dreams? And ever since you were young, what was your life like and where you are today?
Holy moly. Okay, here we go.
Roll
Let's
with
see
it.
if I can remember all of it. Well, first of all, this is such a pleasure to be on your podcast. I'm so excited to talk about this stuff. The first part, I guess, that I want to start at is I mean, yes, of course I have dreams. I had a couple as a child that I haven't had in a really long time, and those reoccurring kind of dreams. And I'm sure everybody has that one that they're just like sometimes when they're going through a certain theme in their life, they'll revisit that dream, and we'll talk about that. But I got, interested. I've always been interested in the mind and how we really work and what makes us tick. And when I was younger, I translated that into like serial killer studies. Like I wanted to be a forensic psychologist. I was looking up like I had the encyclopedia of serial killers because that's how in my young mind, that's how I translated that thirst for knowledge and that curiosity of like what makes our brains and our minds do things that they do. After that, after I looked at one too many like crime scene pictures in my study books and one too many dead bodies, I was like, maybe I'm not cut out for this. Maybe I want to look at the lighter, brighter side of the mind and like why we tend to choose certain things. Anyway, so I've always been interested in it. And then my sister gave me a book when I was 19 years old, and it's right up there. Actually, I don't know if you guys can see, but it's really small. Destiny of Souls, Journey of Souls by Michael Newton. Have
Oh,
you heard of these books?
no. And a
Girl.
lot of people are asking me, where can I get some dream interpretation books?
Okay,
So,
well, they're not dream interpretation books, but they are books about are basically everything I didn't know I was looking for. So it was what happens when we die? How do we choose our next life? Who do we pick to come with us into this life? And what does that process look like? Oh
wow.
my God. And so what really got me is he's a hypnotherapist, and I was like, "Ooh, hypnotherapy." And he basically wrote a book in the form of transcripts of these sessions with these clients. So what his question was, what they said, what his response was. It's like a script reading, but it's of these hypnotherapy sessions of what our souls are really made of in the process of dying and coming back and choosing these amazing enriched lives that will help us learn the lessons we need to learn. And I just cannot say enough life changing. I
Oh,
would not be
this
sitting in my chair right now talking to you if I hadn't read that book, Destiny of Souls. And then that drew me to Journey of Souls and everything else he did. He happened to be a hypnotherapist, but I just kind of filed that away in my mind at the time and was immersed in this like new spiritual like awakening at 19 years old. And I was like, I know everything about everything now. You know, being 19.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
So then fast forward to 2006, I moved to California, LA, from Michigan, which is where I grew up, and I knew I was never going to end up there. Moved to LA, found a hypnotherapist that studied under Dr. Newton, did my first past life regression. That is a whole other amazing story because it was bonkers how amazing it was. And connects to my life in ways, and the people in my life in ways that I can't even tell you. Maybe that'll be like an extra bonus content or something. It's amazing. Anyway, so did that. Sorry, there's a plane going over if you can.
Don't worry, it happens all the time.
Okay, good to know.
I'm like, I can't get away from it. I have a highway right next to my house. No. Helicopters fly over. It's just Los Angeles. You have to get used to it.
You're in LA? See?
Yes.
Things we don't know about each other. Yeah, I lived in North Hollywood for like 12 years.
Awesome. I lived in North Hollywood the first year that I was here. Now I'm in Burbank.
I love. Wait, we talked about this.
Did we?
Yes, we talked about this because yes. Anyway, you posted a story about voting, and I was like, hey, I know where that is because I used to live there. That was me, dude. Okay, so for the viewers / listeners, if you hear us say that we just met, we literally just met, and I feel it's like such a strong connection already. But so I did the past life regression, and I was like, okay, that's really cool. I got a little more familiar with hypnosis, but then I went, it's LA. You have to get a job. You can't. You have to get a job. So I was like, I've always been super independent and took care of myself. So that was my priority. I need to get a stable job, have a stable like paycheck. And then I had my son in 2012 and I was like, I don't want to do that anymore. Oh, dude, I have 3. Okay.
What? Guys, if you see her, she looks like this little 22-year-old goddess of beauty that you would have like, I don't know.
Scratch out 22 and put 34.
You're 34. You just look so, and I'm sure you get this a lot. You look so young, youthful, beautiful. 34 is youthful, so beautiful too. But so I thought you were way younger. So continue.
So for all the moms, I have an 8-year-old, I have a 4-year-old, and I have a 16-month-old. All boys. My life is just full of socks everywhere, and it's amazing. So I had my son in 2012. I was like, I can't go back to 60-hour, 50-hour weeks. I worked in like retail management, so holidays, weekends, late night shifts, everything. I was like, I'm not doing that. I'm just not going to do it. I'm going to figure out a way that I can stay with my kid and make money. And that's when most people go into like multi-level marketing jobs. But I was like, I just don't feel like that. I don't feel like that's me. And I really I didn't want to be in that position. So I was like, what do I like to do? The $1 million question. Like, what do I want to do with my life at 27 years old? And I was like, well, I've always been interested in the mind and, hypnotherapy, hypnosis. I want to do past life regression. That's what I want to do. And so I called, first I had the voice in my head that was like, really though? Are you sure you don't want just someone else to do that? You need to figure some stuff out first before you can like do the fun thing. And I was like, but I'm going to do it anyway, because I'm an Aries and I'm stubborn. It's a blessing and a curse. Okay. I'm tenacious. So I call like the first most prominent like hypnotherapy school that I could find on Google. And it happened to be Hypnosis Motivation Institute in Tarzana, California, which happened to be down the street from where I was working at the time and didn't want to go back to. So I was like, this is meant to be. It's so meant to be. So I went to the school. I studied really hard. I graduated a year later. It's a 6-month it's a 6-month study with a 6-month residency, which is the internship where you're getting your hours. It's the most extensive training that I've found, and I worked at the school, so I had to know what other schools were offering, and our school is the best. So if you're ever looking into it, HMI in Tarzana, California, shout out to George Kappas. Anyway.
That's amazing, though, that you did such extensive studying.
Yes, and that's the thing I want to touch on, too. So if you're ever looking for a hypnotherapist or hypnosis or past life regression or, any sort of thing like that, ask them how much training they have. Please, 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 please. Because it is federally unregulated. I'm not trying to get up on a soapbox or anything, but this is important. Mm-hmm. It's not regulated in the country. So it's state by state. Meaning, if somebody goes to a weekend 10-hour course and they're like, now I'm a doctor in hypnotherapy, there's nothing stopping them from saying that.
Right.
So ask them, ask them, ask them. Do your due diligence because it's your mind, okay? They're going to the deepest part of your mind. You need them to be qualified to do so. Which is why
that has just done weekend work.
Yeah. And,
the mind is so powerful and you should be taking care of it. And it's a temple, a sacred temple,
Yeah. Take care of it and make sure that the only people going in there are people you know, like, and trust and that you have good vibes from. I have a whole blog article on how to find the right hypnotherapist, so check it out, lynnsseyrobinson.com. Anyway, so I'm going to do that a lot probably, just like go off on little tangents.
lynnsseyrobinson.com, and I'll make sure that you spell that out where they can find you on Instagram. We'll make sure that they can find you, and it'll be in the show notes too.
Yeah, so all this to say, long story short is I ended up graduating from HMI in 2013, and I've been doing hypnotherapy ever since. And part of the training is dream interpretation / dream therapy translation kind of thing. So I have so many things in my like toolbox to help people really like step into who they were always supposed to be, who they were before society told them not to be, who they were born as, and they just need to remember how amazing they are, how powerful they are, and how unstoppable they are. And that's kind of what hypnotherapy is all about.
That's amazing. And I think that it should be something that everybody has to experience, like you said, with somebody trustworthy, because our minds, I don't think, get enough love and self-care and understanding.
Totally.
I always tell people, bring yourself back to the time that you were like a baby. You were pure. There were no stress, no fears, no losses, no financial stuff. It just
magic was real, right?
It was real, exactly. Our minds were so clear and our souls feeling so So I appreciate that about you, and I appreciate that you took the time to study so hard, because I think that is super important and that you can be trusted. So I am sure that you have been enjoying this ever since 2013 and that you've been doing that ever since. So when you're doing hypnotherapy, can you help people through grief as well? Have you worked on anybody who has severe losses or severe traumas that they've experienced here?
Yeah. So, yes. I mean, being a human, I mean, it's hard not to pick up some of that stuff, no matter who you are. But you know, with those losses of a loved one or really traumatic experiences, hypnosis is really, really great for getting that closure that you might not get in quote reality, that you might not have the opportunity to get, or and this is with trauma, not necessarily with grief. I don't think you ever really get closure with the grief. You just are able to. Did you know that there's that saying? It doesn't get easier, you just get better. Yes, so it's more like the challenges don't cripple you as much as they used to. And I don't think you ever really heal, but you can find some way to move forward. And hypnosis is really great with helping you get those things that you don't have yet in the mind. Because the thing with the subconscious mind is, if it, and this is ties in so well with our dream talk that we're going to get to, but if it happens in the subconscious, on some level, it has happened. Like, it happened. There's a reason you wake up from these dreams and you're like, my boyfriend cheated on me, so I'm pissed at him because I can't believe he would do that. But he didn't do anything, because the emotions are so powerful in the subconscious that if it happens in there, it happens. So when you heal in the subconscious mind, you are healing. When you experience overcoming a fear in the subconscious mind, you are overcoming that fear. Like, it does not distinguish fact from fantasy. It's this beautiful like melding of the two that really allows you to step into the next step, to the next level. So yes, it is very effective with grief. The thing with my practice is I don't specialize in grief. However, if someone comes to me that says, I really am experiencing this and I can't seem to move forward from it, no matter what it is, yes, I absolutely can help you with that. So it's not something I advertise that I do help with, but hypnosis is so fluid and it's so malleable to the client that there really is no limit. The only thing I tell people is I can't make you like grow wings and fly out the window, because physiologically that's impossible. Right. But anything else is fair game.
Yes. And I think that is totally understandable. I mean, yes, like the mind, we can work with the mind. It's unlimited, you know, or limitless, and we are powerful. And you can help people through all different types of situations. So it's great to know. You know, people I'm sure would be questioning that. Like, can hypnotherapy help me with this or that? So I appreciate you and your just wisdom with it. It's so great. I know that dreams for me, you know, and I can't wait to start talking about the dreams because that's obviously why we're here today. And of course, if you guys want to learn more about hypnotherapy, you can contact Lynnsey. And how can they contact you?
Anywhere. So Lynnsey at lynnseyrobinson.com is my email. You can contact me through the website, lynnseyrobinson.com. You can contact me on Instagram, which is at Lynnsey Robinson, Twitter at Lynnsey Robinson. Just Google me. You'll find me. I'm all over.
And Lynnsey is Lynnnsey.
Yeah. So it's like Lynn, like the middle name Lynn, and just add an SEY. None of this crazy D business. No offense to anyone who has a D in the name Lynnsey, but to me, it's not phonetic and it's weird.
You are an Aries all day.
I know, man. I'm sorry. Sorry, not sorry.
Slept like shit last night because of the amount of dreams I have.
Interesting.
Constantly, every single night, having lucid dreams. I know I'm dreaming, and I know it's crazy, and I feel like I'm just watching everything, and I cannot have a restful night's sleep, like ever.
Really? Is this why you asked for a dream interpreter?
Well, the first reason why I asked for a dream interpreter was I was asking people, like, what would you like to see on the podcast? And somebody was like, I would love to see dream interpretations. I'm like, me too. That's actually a really good idea. And then I was like, wow, I actually really need this because I have the mind of a medium. I also have anxiety, and I also am an overthinker, and my brain just does not stop. And I have dreams at night where it feels like I'm just living a double life, like I'm here on this lifetime and I'm doing my stuff here, and then I go to bed at night and I'm like, I'm not even going to get a good night's sleep because I know that it's going to be like a movie over there. And the only time I really have deep sleeps where I don't have dreams is if I am like up for 24 hours, which is rare, or if like never. So that's about it. I mean, the only times that if I'm exhausted, then I will not dream. But other than that, I just think it's so interesting. And a lot of people had contacted me, and they had quite a few of the same questions. Some of them made me laugh out loud, that you're just like, that is such a weird dream, and you just want to laugh about it. So I figured we can start off by talking about, you know, how the mind works and why do we dream and how do we dream?
I'm getting chills just thinking about it. I'm so excited. Okay. So this is a great way to start. The subconscious mind, I'm going to go there because that's my jam. Really quickly, here's kind of how we develop the subconscious and how we develop the conscious and what the two parts have to do with everything. So when we're born, our minds are basically a blank slate, right? We only have two fears. Some call it the monkey mind, some call it the lizard brain. The two fears in this brain, this new baby brain, is the fear of falling and the fear of loud noises. That's it. Everything else is learned. Of course, you have the fight or flight, which is the instinctual part of us. The fear of loud noises and the fear of falling, and that's it. So everything else from that point on is a learned behavior. So that's how I usually introduce hypnosis. If there's anything that you don't want, it's because you learned that it was okay at some point, whether through defense or whether through survival or whatever it was. There's a reason it's in there. You don't have to have it anymore unless you want it. So that's the only thing that we have. And when we turn from 0 to like 8 or 9, sometimes 10, you know, around that age range, you start to take everything in as true because essentially you don't have anything to contradict it. You don't have anything to relate it to or you know, decide if it's true or not. You don't really have that ability necessarily yet. So you're just taking everything in as true. You're learning things. Things are becoming knowns to you. Things are becoming patterns. Things are becoming experiences and solidifying in that mind. When you hit age 8, 9, or 10, you get what's called the critical filter, or the critical mind. Is basically this barrier between the subconscious and what is now the conscious mind. So anything that goes into the mind from that point on basically has to check in with what's in the subconscious already. And in that subconscious is like, I love chocolate. I don't like broccoli. I love getting hugged, but I don't like getting punished or, you know, feeling bad about things. Those are all knowns. So when I say the word known, it's just those automatic things that we know in our subconscious, those solidified things. Again, changeable. You just have to decide what it is you want to change. And then, so if it's not congruent with what's in the subconscious mind, it's just going to kick it right back out. The subconscious mind, everyone, is about 85 to 90. Some are even saying like 95% of our mind power. It's, that iceberg visual where you just see the tippy top of the iceberg and the rest of it is submerged. That is the subconscious mind. It's the big behemoth mama of whatever is driving you is in the subconscious mind. The emotions, the speech, the writing, the any automatic behavior. So your nervous system, your breathing, all of that stuff you don't have to think about, but you just do. That also includes limiting beliefs. That also includes patterns in relationships and all these kinds of things. So that's kind of the basics. Okay, so the conscious mind has our rational thinking, our decision making, our willpower, our logic. That's all about 5 to 10%, maybe 15% of our mind power. So when you're using willpower alone to do some of these things, it's no wonder why it's so hard, because you're basically taking 15% up against this 85%/90, whatever it is. It's just not going to happen unless, this is why hypnosis is so powerful. This is why, when we talk about dreams, it's also very powerful, because you're taking that barrier between the conscious and subconscious minds with hypnosis becomes almost like a pathway through. With hypnosis, I know the right thing to say to wake up your subconscious mind and make it receptive to the things that you want. Okay. Never what I want. If it's what I want, it's not hypnosis. It's something different. It's like brainwash or something. I don't even know. But it's always what you want. I can never make you go against your morals, beliefs, wishes, anything that's already in there that makes you. Can't go against that. Unless it's something you come to me and is like, this is a challenge. I want to release this. I don't want it anymore. So we kind of create a barrier into the subconscious. And that's where, in that receptive subconscious state, it's listening to us, actually actively listening and taking in a comforting, safe way what we want. Now with dreams, and I would challenge, when you say you don't dream, I would challenge that and say you probably do. You just are so exhausted that your mind isn't really remembering what it is that you dream. Like my 3-year-old always tells me, I don't dream. And he almost gets mad at me because I'm like, yes, you do, bro. You dream. And he's like, no, I don't. I never dream. Whatever.
Yeah, but I'm sure your mind's just like, okay, we don't have enough storage to hold on to that dream, so we're just going to let that go.
Physiologically, it is a biological thing that we dream. There's always brain activity happening. So you definitely do. It's just you don't always need to remember it or want or have that, ability to remember it, and that's fine. You don't need to. But yeah, with the dreams, it is the best, most organic way to have therapy with yourself is through these dreams, because it's processing while you're asleep. It's processing and even releasing while you're asleep, and depending on the type of dream that it is. So that is kind of, if you're open, that's where we can take the conversation next, is like the type of dreams and the time of night and how to figure that out. So the first thing I want to say is there's no real dream book that is a hard and fast dictionary to what your dreams mean. Right. And if you have a dream book, I mean, you can keep it if you want, but a daisy to me isn't going to mean the same thing to you. So if I have a special symbol in my mind, it's going to mean something special to me. And that's why a dream book is fine, but it's very, very, very general, and it's very, very vague, and it doesn't mean the same thing for everyone. So, I mean, throw it out if you want.
I totally have always wondered that. I'm like, I've looked up, obviously, my own dreams. You go on Google and you're like, what does it mean when my teeth fall out of my head? And they're like, oh, because you're pregnant or you're stressed out. You're like, done, cool. That makes sense. I'm stressed out. But agreed, it can mean so many different things for people. And I always say, and I've said this to my boyfriend, that the books are always better than the movies, because our mind has this imagination that just doesn't compare to anybody else's imagination. And that's why people are like, oh, the book's better. It's like, well, yeah, no shit, because your mind has something more magical than what you think another person might think. And they might think their brain is more magical than yours and your imagination. So super cool. And I like how you explain that. And I think that will also give people some validation so that they don't always turn to that. And maybe that they can internally look inside and be able to work with the subconscious.
This is exactly the key. Yes. So when we say, like, I want to go to a dream interpreter, with the way I'm looking at it and the way I work with people is like, I'm even with hypnosis, I'm not doing this for you. It's a co-creative thing. And you can take all the credit for this because you are doing most of the work. I just know what to say. I know how to help you interpret your dreams. I know how to help you come to these meanings of these different symbols and these different time periods and what was going on in your life at that time, kind of thing. So
You're
that
just
is
plain. You have those orange sticks.
exactly. You're walking the path. I just
right.
have the flashlight. That's the best way. You
I
have,
love that.
yeah. I know where to go. You're walking it.
Yeah, and I think that's important for people to know that you are always number one in control of your own mind.
Totally. Yes.
So I want people to understand what the meaning of lucid dreaming means, because I've had a lot of people mention lucid dreaming and some people might not know what that means. Is that actually a thing, lucid dreaming?
I really believe it. Like, this is going to come down to like your beliefs, I think, because you're never going to look in like a science book and be like, yeah, spiritual lucid dreaming, sure, that's a thing. But I believe that it totally is, because I feel like, especially, see, now I feel like you're going to throw the rule book right out the window because you're a medium, are you not? So
Yeah.
you have this whole other facet of spiritual side that your mind is already adapted to, that a lot of people's minds are still trying to exercise those muscles. I feel like everybody has it, but it's how much you exercise the muscle and how adept you already are when you're born with it, kind of thing.
Yeah.
So I feel like your dreaming is going to be like I said, throwing out the rule book because you have these other messages and these other connections that are coming in that need to come in, while you're sleeping.
Right.
But I can tell you like the basics of, like a crash course in dream therapy, which is when you're trying to when you're trying to interpret your dreams or figure out what your dreams mean, the first thing you want to look at is how the dream made you feel. So what was the emotion in the dream? Okay. The next thing, when was the dream? So there's 3 basic stages of dreaming depending on what time of night it is or day. The first, I'm going to use a metaphor, but first I'm going to tell you what they are. So the first stage of dreaming is the wishful thinking stage. It's the least likely to remember these dreams because it's the first stage. Okay. And then when you get deeper into the sleep, it becomes the precognitive stage or predictive stage. And I'll tell you what those mean. And then the third one, which is it's usually the dream you wake up to in the morning.
Yep.
And those are the venting dreams. So venting dreams are by far the most important dreams to have.
Wow.
Now, the wishful okay, so here's the metaphor. The metaphor that kind of breaks down these different dream stages. Number 1, okay, so when you come home, let's say you were gone for like a week, right? You come home to your mailbox. It's just full of like packages and envelopes and just mail. Some of it's junk, you can just look and see that not all of it's important, but it's just full.
Mm-hmm.
That is a great way to describe the mind every day because we're constantly getting what are called message units. We're constantly receiving bits of information, millions, probably billions of bits of information, we don't really know for sure, into our minds. Not all of it is going to be crucial. Not all of it's going to be important. It's just there. So this wishful thinking stage is you kind of sorting it into piles, right? And the wishful thinking is just kind of deciding what's important and what isn't. I don't know why it's called wishful thinking. That's just how I learned it, but that's what it means. The second one is precognitive. So it's really taking that important stuff, the packages, the bills, the stuff you need to look at, as the metaphor goes in this scenario, what you really need to open and figure out. And how it relates to the dreams is the precognitive / predictive stage of dreaming is prediction is part of our survival. We need to be able to map out the next steps. Right. And so in this dream stage, it's simply your mind, based on the information that it's given, that it perceives as important, is going to try to figure out the next steps of your life. Now, it's not always going to be earth-shattering like epiphanies you're going to be having in these dreams, but it's just simply day to day, here's the next step. Here's the next part. Mm-hmm. And dreams are always in symbols. They're always in metaphors. Our minds communicate in symbols and images, right? So it's always going to be like a metaphor. Some of it could be literal, and that's something that we'll need to break down in each dream as well. Oh my God, are we going to even have time for questions? I'm saying so many things.
No, this is awesome. People love it. If I need to do 2 parts, I'll do 2 parts.
I was saying this might need to be a 2-parter.
Sitting here just like sucking it all in. And I'm like, as you're saying things, I'm also thinking of all these other questions I have.
Yes, absolutely.
It's awesome.
Totally.
Yeah, so everyone else is intrigued.
So it's just part of our biology. We need to be able, it's been ingrained in us for since the dawn of time that we need to be able to map this stuff out. And then when you get to the venting stage, so the venting stage in the male metaphor, right, is just throwing away the junk. It's just, okay, do I need this ad for the furniture store? No. Okay, good. But it is just deciding what's important and what isn't. So the venting stage is the process of quite literally venting out emotions, venting out attachments to experiences that you might still be carrying, and restoring back, like kind of hitting the reset button on what you don't need anymore. So It's a really great, the dream process is the best form of processing and integrating and releasing that we have in our bodies. That's why I say, like, you definitely do every night. You definitely dream. You have to dream. If you didn't dream, like when people get addicted to these sleeping pills and they literally don't dream because their brains are just kind of shutting off, like that, I would say, I would implore them to try to look for an alternative, because you physically need to dream, mentally, emotionally, your well-being needs it. Okay. So
I was on trazodone once for sleeping because I just have insomnia. I just don't, the only time I really sleep peacefully is when I'm right next to my boyfriend. I feel comforted, and my dog. Our dog sleeps between us. And but I remember taking the trazodone, and I felt like I don't even know. I didn't even exist at all. I felt like my tongue was hanging out of my head.
And again, I will say, you probably are way more in tune with that kind of idea than most people because of what you do. Like, what it's going to be like for you is probably on such a different level, and you're so much more in tune with like what's good for you and what isn't, and in a way that I've never heard anyone describe it like that, but it's absolutely true. Like, you feel like you just blink out for a minute and then you're like, oh, okay, I'm back. That's weird.
Yeah, I felt like my tongue was hanging out of my head and made my mouth so dry that I was like, fuck this shit. So
yeah.
And people need it, some people just need it and need to function.
Yeah, I have family members that need it, like actually need it. And if you do need it, like, yes, don't just stop. But I'm just saying, like, maybe do a Google search to see what kind of natural stuff. You just, it's just so good for your well-being. And if you do have to stay on it, I would find a way to meditate. I would find a way to just go inward every day to make up for the lack of the dreaming that you're having. Anyway,
actually let go of all this stuff instead of like your mind.
It's so important. So the venting stage, if you ever wake up, it's from like, this is loose, general, but if it's from like 4 to 7 or 8, depending on when you wake up in the early morning, we call them early morning venting dreams. So anytime right before sunrise or right after sunrise is generally going to be defined as a venting dream. Again, this is not taking into account people who work graveyard shifts and have like different, so change the times depending on when your sleep cycle is, but early morning venting dreams are just that. They're a way to vent out old anger, like when you wake up from a cheating boyfriend dream, it's probably you venting out that need for jealousy. If you remember it, you might not be ready to let it go completely yet, but know that your body and your mind is in the process of doing that, and that's a good thing. If you don't remember your venting dreams, hey, you let it go. Good job.
Even better. Cool.
Even better. You did it perfectly.
Oh, I'm sure that, and I know lots and lots of people have those dreams, that they've had those cheating dreams, and that you mentioned that it was like a yearn for jealousy, for the partner to be a little bit more jealous over you. Is that what you mean?
No, I mean, like, if you wake up from a jealous dream, it's your body and mind in the process of being like, hey, you don't need to hold on to this jealousy anymore. We're letting it go now. Okay. But that's why, like, if you still remember those dreams when you wake up, it's probably not quite gone yet, but it is in the process of leaving. So trust that it will continue to leave in your early morning venting dreams.
No, and I was curious because last night at like 11, my shirt popped open. It's like always happening. I don't know. These things are just in the way.
There are worse problems.
Yeah, right. Like, whatever. So I had fried chicken last night at like 11:30 at night.
Okay, well.
Hot chicken, or is it Dave's Hot Chicken? Dave's Fried Chicken? I don't know. It's on Lancashire in North Hollywood. So freaking good if you guys are nearby. But anyways, ate it late last night. And I'm curious because I've had this talk as well with a few friends that if they eat really late, they have crazy dreams. What do you think about that?
Okay, so that actually is a perfect segue into the next part, which is part of the interpretation of the dream, another aspect of it is finding out if it's physiological or psychological. So physiological could be eating right before bed, or rather what you eat before bed, or it could also be, how many of you have had the dream where you are falling and you shoot yourself awake because, oh my gosh, I'm falling, or have night terrors, or, have trouble. There's also something to be said for not eating before bed. So if you are somebody who might be prone to like hyper or hypoglycemia, I forget which one it is, like blood sugar issues, not necessarily diabetes, but if you get shaky when you're really hungry, or if you start to feel those feelings of anxiety when you're really, really hungry, eat protein before you go to bed, because it will do wonders for your sleep cycle. Just letting you settle. That drop when you feel like you're dropping has been correlated before with the blood sugar physically dropping and your mind's interpretation of it. I'm not even kidding. I can't make this stuff up. It is just too cool. So that's why, like, sometimes physical stimulus will incorporate itself into your dreams too, because you're not paralyzed in sleep. You're not numb when you're asleep. So if a dog is licking your foot in your dream, it might be able to incorporate itself in the dream. So we always look for, is it physiological, meaning hunger or something, physical stimulus happening, or is it psychological? Is it something that is needing to be processed in that way?
Right. Wow. That is really freaking cool. And I always thought, and I think somebody probably told me this a while ago, and I really had, and I do believe it in some way, is that when we're falling, it's and crashing, and like we're waking up. So like we just jumped a million feet out of bed, is our body crashing, our souls crashing back into our body from doing a visitation back to the afterlife. So I think, but you explaining how your blood sugars drop, 100%. I mean, that makes total sense. Yeah. I mean, your mind and your body are working together. So
that pesky blood sugar is also the culprit in a lot of these phobias too. Like if you're afraid of something, but you have no origin for it, like you cannot remember how it came to be. Funny story. This is a very quick story. My sister, when I started doing hypnosis in like 2013, 12, actually, when I started studying, she goes, "What are you doing?" I was like, "Hypnosis. I'm going to help people with like weight loss." And at the time I was way more into the clinical, like weight loss and smoking cessation and fears and phobias, habit control, that sort of thing, which I still am, but I've gone way woo since then. Spiritual side of it. And so she's like, "Oh, okay." I was like, "What are you afraid of? What do you got? Were you afraid of anything?" And she's like, "Yeah, I've never been afraid of heights before, but just recently, like in the last couple of years, I have been so terrified of heights." And I was like, "Okay, when was the first time you noticed it?" And she told me, we were at a baseball game and I went up high into the seats and I was just terrified. I had like a panic attack. And I go, "Okay, what did you eat that day?" And she goes, "I didn't eat that day." And I was like, "Oh my gosh." Okay, so if you remember when I said, like, when you're really hungry, if you get shaky and nervous, what are the symptoms of anxiety, right? It's shaky, nerves, you can't think straight, you get irritable, you sweat, low blood sugar and anxiety are so similar in terms of symptoms that a lot of times you can trick your body into believing that it's actually afraid versus hungry, depending on which situation you're in. So just know that's a freebie for you. Yeah, that is a free. I know, that's the thing. When I learned that, I was like, "Oh my gosh, life makes so much more sense."
Immediately. And I'm curious because I've always just been petrified of fast moving. Nope. I can remember the one time that I started panicking about fast moving things. Like roller coasters, cannot go on it. My boyfriend and his best friend, my good friend, made me go on the Mummy ride at Universal a few weeks ago, and I bawled my eyes out the whole time and cried and cried. Don't even know what happened. And I remember when I was young, my sister's friend put me, like, we went in her car, she got her driver's license, and she went around this bend really, really fast. And it, like, since this, like, panic in my stomach that it goes right back to that. But I, of course, don't know that day, like, what the hell.
What do you eat? Yeah,
I wonder, why that is. And I thought for a long time that I didn't like fast moving things because it always reminded me of coming back as a soul back to this earth, because it's such a fast movement as you come back to this earth. So I'm like, no. I don't know. It's just weird shit.
I mean, you never know. I mean, there's a lot of different things, but this is definitely a valid thing that it could be. So if anybody's listening to this or checking it out, like, if you ever have any phobias or if you know anybody with phobias, just think about what you ate.
Yeah. Yeah.
Or just know that in future, just you can't go wrong eating some protein. You just can't. So anytime you're in doubt, just have some protein.
You should make t-shirts, one in doubt, protein.
Notice how I didn't say meat for all you vegans out there. Just eat some protein. I don't care what form it is. It's still a friend to your body. And will do wonders in leveling your blood sugar when you feel like it's spiraling, especially at night. So if you know anybody with night terrors or have really bad sleep cycles, food and what you're eating before bed is a huge thing to check out.
And this might be wonderful for parents who have young children. Mm-hmm. They have a popsicle before bed. It's a lot of sugar. Or
oh God, don't do that. Please don't do that.
Or if they gave them, stuff that maybe, or they didn't eat a lot that day. They just weren't eating. And they wake up because there's somebody in their room, or they're freaking out, a boogeyman. Yep. It might be interesting to look at their diet, I'm sure.
Totally. Yeah. Sugar is and I give my kids dessert, but I make sure to do it 2 hours before bedtime, and then I still make them eat protein before bed because I can't not know this stuff now. It's in there. I can't go back to the time where I was oblivious to it, and now your listeners can't either. So it's knowledge they will take with them forever.
I'm going to be taking a whole spoonful of peanut butter before I go to bed tonight and just eating it.
Seriously, couldn't hurt. It definitely won't hurt. That's for sure.
Well, I think that's really good for people to know the I can't even say it. Physiological, thank you, and the psychological parts of dreaming. And I love that you brought up the point of what you're eating that day, what you didn't eat that day. So diet is obviously super important. And so there's so many things. And if there's anything that that comes up, say it. We'll learn more. I love it. I figured we can start, answering some funny questions that people have asked.
Can't wait. I just have one more thing in order to help, your listeners and your audience interpret their own dreams. We talked about the dream stages. What stage of dreaming was it? We talked about the emotion behind it. We talked about if it was physiological or physical. The other couple things you want to look at is the timing of the dream. So if you have a dream where you're in high school, what's happening in your life that could be attributed back to how you were feeling in high school, or a similar situation that happened to you in high school. If it's something you've never experienced before, then that's a different thing. But usually we can kind of sense the timing. If it's a present day, then it's probably something in present day that you're dealing with. But if it's a what am I trying to say? If it's a significant tie to something that happened in your past, like if you are in high school, or if it's a childhood thing or something that even happened a year ago, or you see an old boyfriend in a dream. I'm bringing up boyfriends a lot in this episode. That's interesting. But what's going on with me right now?
So it makes sense.
It's a biggie. But if you have any kind of reference that it's not now, it's back then really look at your life in similar situations that you might be experiencing now, or even emotions that you might be experiencing, certain themes in some way, shape, or form that could be drawing you back to this time of your life.
Right.
And it will give you a lot of clarity around why you might be having those dreams. And then you want to really figure out what is a symbol in the dream and what is literal in the dream. So if something that happened in your dream really did happen in real life, that's a literal thing. If it's a symbol for something, that's usually tied to the emotion that you're experiencing in the dream. So big on symbols, big on metaphors, big on emotions. You really want to focus on those things and what those symbols and images and metaphors mean to you in terms of the emotion that you feel about them. Whew, does that make sense?
Yeah, it really does. And I'm totally digesting all of this, and I know
it's so much information. I know.
My dream, because I dreamt this morning, it was so freaking wacky. I was in some I don't know, some bar restaurant place. It was a bar, and then if you go into the ladies' room, it was like your own place. Like there were tables and there were ovens.
Love it.
And there was cabinets, and I remember all of a sudden, somebody was cleaning one of the cabinets, and I was like, it's really hot in here. There's a fire. And everyone started to rush, towards the door. It's like, everyone relax. It's all good. Calm down. We're going to get out. And I had to start flipping over easy eggs as fast as I freaking could. Wow. And then I saw my grandfather through the window of his house in a a hot pink towel wrapped around his body and then a hot pink towel on his head. And I was just like, what the fuck is happening right now? Then I was hugging my dad and he was crying. And it was just like, it goes from scene to scene to scene to scene to scene.
Yeah.
Fast. And when I woke up this morning, I was like, well, that was really fucked up and weird. And I'm going to blame it on the fried chicken.
So you woke up to that dream?
I woke up to that dream.
Okay. If I just had to guess, I would say that it was just the final stages of processing. Something's processing.
Yeah.
Which, and what was the emotion? It sounds like chaotic a little bit.
Chaos. I felt like I had to take care of everyone in the dream. And it was also just super chaotic, stressful, trying to keep calm and just nurture everyone. I'm going to kill my dog.
It sounds like he's having a blast.
Stop. I think I could just hear her nails clicking. It's like, click, 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 click. Lay down. Yeah, you good. Go lay with daddy. Bye.
Do you feel like at this point in your life you're having those feelings of like chaos and it's hard to keep control and it's hard to keep all? It sounds like in the dream there's a lot of plates spinning for you.
Mm-hmm.
Right?
Yes.
Is that what's happening for you right now in a sense?
Yeah. I feel like work-wise, I'm trying to figure out all different outlets and different ways to succeed, to be able to have enough abundance to help myself and my family. Constantly trying to push myself. I can't sit still. Mm-hmm. So the only way I can shut off work is if I'm truly out of my house and out of town, mm-hmm. and not anywhere near work. That's the only way. So yeah, 100% feel like I'm spinning things constantly.
Yeah.
I love that.
I mean, it's pretty straightforward if you ask me. That dream is like, I mean, really at the end of the day, does this dream make sense? Does the emotion and the atmosphere of the dream make sense for my life at this point? And most of the time, I'd say 99% of the time, it would be like, yeah. The other 1% of the time is probably because you ate fried chicken.
I know.
But for you, I mean, I definitely think it's pretty cut and dry. I think you're just your mind is processing, maybe even venting out some of those feelings of chaos, but not completely vented it out yet. You know what I mean? Maybe you're just on the cusp of really processing and integrating some of this stuff.
Every morning, I'm like, what was I trying to eliminate today?
Yeah.
I'm gonna be like analyzing now my dreams instead of being like, well, that was fucking weird and so messed up.
Well, remember, if you wake up from it, it's a venting dream. So if you're experiencing the thing that you're trying to vent in the moment, it simply just means you're in the process of venting it out, releasing it. Maybe just not quite yet, but you're doing it, And if you wake up in the middle of the night with this thing, with this same dream, you could be like, I'm trying to predict, but what am I trying to map out here?
Yeah. Okay.
So timing is super important. Mm-hmm. I would journal around it. Anyone listening, you definitely can't go wrong journaling. And here's a little fun fact. Oh my God, I'm so full of these fun facts. So I'm going to take this piece of paper. People watch this or do they listen?
Well, they can listen on my podcast, or they can watch on my YouTube channel, which they'll be able to do either or. So if you guys want to see what Lynnsey is about to do, you can always go to my YouTube channel and see what the fuck she's talking about.
Yeah, go to the YouTube channel anyway. But I mean, it's pretty straightforward. I'm going to get all showy, but I don't need to. I could just tell you this. So it's a lined sheet of paper. For those of you that don't, if you're journaling out like any lined sheet of paper, generally speaking, because I also do handwriting analysis, we'll have to do another episode on that as well, of handwriting. But if you're journaling any old thing, right, you start off with your conscious objectives, goals, your thoughts. And then as you get down further on the paper, you notice your handwriting kind of gets a little messier. All of you have noticed this without fail. I guarantee it. Your handwriting will get messier as you get to the bottom. And that's because you've already filtered out the conscious stuff. And now you're getting into the subconscious stuff. So the further you get down on the paper, the more you write, the more into the subconscious you are getting. There you go. Take it to the bank.
My God.
It is so cool.
Boom, boom. That is so true. I've always noticed that. I'm like, why is my handwriting so nice in the beginning and then it just gets all fucking gross? Like I have it right here, right now.
Because it's more important to your it's more important to your mind to get out the thought rather than make it look pretty. But when you're first starting out, you're looking at the form, you're looking at you're very conscious. You're making sure the barriers and the margins are good, and you're making sure it looks like it's all making sense. And then when you get further down, you're like, this, I don't even know what I'm saying down here, because it's all the deep, deep stuff. And so anyway, yeah. So when you're journaling about your dreams, write at least a full page so you can get down to the nitty gritty of what the subconscious is really trying to say if you really want to. But more often than not, you can access these same meanings and interpretations and translations through just kind of going inward and figuring out these different categories when it comes to your dreams. Okay, let's get some questions because I feel like I'm just talking
definitely.
a lot.
And that just reminded me of when I was living on my own, and I constantly, I was going through therapy. I constantly had things going through my mind. And so at night before bed, I would sit on my iPad. I had a little keyboard, and I would just type everything that happened that day, anything that pissed me off, anything that sounded absurd, anything that was just popped up in my mind. And it helped download everything to that so that I didn't take it with me to bed. I should probably start doing it again.
Okay, well, I will say one thing. Yes, typing is better than nothing, but if you can write it down, handwriting, because it's an automatic behavior, is a direct line to the subconscious. It's an ideomotor response, which means you don't have to think about doing it. It just happens. So it is, in that way, a direct line to the subconscious. Anything you're getting out of the subconscious. Anything you are writing, you like if it's an affirmation, it is going into the subconscious directly, because that's where it originates, that's where the handwriting comes from, is the subconscious. So there's just a quick hack. If you're doing any kind of affirmations, write those BZs down and write down your journaling, because it's way more powerful than just typing on a keyboard.
Oh, wow. That is powerful. I'm going to be doing that for sure. And anybody who's journaling, you're like 15 steps ahead of me. So congratulations.
I mean, again, getting it out in whatever way feels best to you is powerful. Sure. But, if you want to add a punch to it, and like an extra powerful punch, you can just start writing it and notice, you probably notice the palpable difference that it makes, because you're venting it out so much more directly,
Mm-hmm.
Oh, also, okay, we can get to questions, but I do have one more really, really important thing. Affirmations or writing down intentions for your dream, and that's where we get to lucid dreaming. You can write down intentions for your dream as well. If you're going to do any kind of mindset work or any kind of mindset work or shifting of limiting beliefs or anything like that, affirmations, journaling, do it 30 minutes before bed or 30 minutes after you wake up, because those two windows of time are when the subconscious is the most receptive on its own, because the process of going to sleep is essentially a process of hypnosis. You're entering that altered state in order to go to unconscious sleep. You have to pass through the subconscious mind. So 30 minutes before bed, it is listening. That's quite important to know, because when you are waking up and going right on Facebook News and seeing the coronavirus is everywhere, it's not a great way to start your day, and it's getting directly into the subconscious. So chill out on the news, chill out on the negative stuff until your mind is your conscious mind is more in the driver's seat, and your subconscious is kind of like laying low. So 30 minutes before bed and 30 minutes after you wake up are the most powerful times to do any kind of mindset work, because the subconscious is ready and willing to be molded in whatever way you want it to be.
That is noted in my mind, and I'm going to start doing that. And my boyfriend says to me all the time, you got to get off your phone before bed, because that's why you're going to have like all these, like, you're just not getting restful sleep. And it makes sense. I get that.
I mean, I know it's a cliche. People say it all the time, but this is actually why, because your subconscious is like, anything you tell me right now is going in direct line to the subconscious.
Yes, it makes complete sense. So I'm going to start making that a routine of mine, is actually journal before bed. And even when I wake up, I think that's awesome. And affirmations, I think, are so important. People need to say them more and more and more.
Write them. They need to write them more and more.
Yeah. Exactly.
I like shout it from the rooftops. It's so important, guys. Come on. Yes. I don't want you thinking that affirmations don't work. And the way you write them is very important. I have a free affirmation course on my website, because the way that people are writing them is not one size fit all. Affirmations are not one size fits all. Your subconscious mind is not one language for everyone. We all have different love languages. We all have different subconscious languages. You need to be writing your affirmations in the way that you take in information, or it's not going to do anything, and you're going to feel like a fraud, and you're going to feel like a failure. Let's get to some questions.
Awesome. So this is going to be in part 2, the question.
Dude, I have so much to say. I'm so sorry.
Don't be at all. I'm enjoying every single moment of this. I am downloading everything that you're saying. You explain things so easily and nicely that I'm able to be like, oh, I get what she's saying. And you're giving analogies, and I love analogies. And I think that everybody else is so grateful to you. So I love that you're giving the information because I don't know much about it. So for you to correct me and be like, well, there's more. And it's like, good, tell me more because I don't know. So the fact that you're able to explain so much to us is so helpful. And my boyfriend is going to be obsessed with this because he loves how the mind works. He loves, what dreams. He loves this stuff. He's such a health freak in that way that I think that he's going to really enjoy this. So if you guys want to listen to part 2, we're going to start to answer all the questions. And Lynnsey, thank you so much for just explaining to us so much that I honestly did not know about.
You are so welcome. And I don't, I could go on all day. When I tell you, like, I could talk about this stuff all day, it's so true. So thank you so much for giving me a new audience to teach, I guess, to share my information with.
You're so welcome. And thank you. So now we're into part 2. That's how amazing editing is. We're into part 2. We're going to be answering.
I haven't seen you in so long. Oh my goodness.
My gosh. God, I missed you. What's up, girl? A week later. So from last week, I had asked people on my Facebook page, my private Facebook group, which you guys can join, click to join. It is Healing Grace the Podcast, and also my Instagram, Healing Grace the Podcast. I asked everyone to give me, something. First of all, I asked for a dream interpreter, and Lynnsey, amazing Lynnsey, just fell into my lap. Thank you. And then I asked people to tell me about their dreams. What do they want to know? What are their questions? Because believe it or not, so many people, the first thing they do, like, to have a conversation is, dude, my dream was so crazy last night. This is what happened. And you're like, cool, that's crazy. Or it doesn't make any sense to you and you don't care. Or maybe if you're like us, we care. We're excited. We want to know. And Lynnsey was able to help us through the process of what dreams actually mean and what our minds are doing in our subconscious. So thank you, Lynnsey, for sharing all of that in the first episode. And you guys can follow Lynnsey at Lynnsey Robinson. That's everything is Lynnsey Robinson. That's Lynn, like Lynn, and then add the SEY. So, okay, here we go. We're going to start asking these questions here. I am going to start with my own questions and then kind of go on to others. I constantly have dreams where I'm trying to punch people and I'm not punching hard enough. And I just want to hit them and deck them as hard as I can in the face. And it's like I'm just gently tapping their face. It's so infuriating. What do you think that could possibly represent?
Well, I think I'm a little afraid of you.
I'm a harsh bitch. I'm kind and I'm so respectful. The minute you screw with me or hurt somebody I love,
protective. That's definitely an amazing quality. As we mentioned in the last episode, or as I would not stop talking about, the real force behind any dream. I wish you had live callers, because I would love to get these people on the phone to be like, so how'd you feel about the dream? What time of night was it? Maybe we could do an Instagram live or something. I don't know.
Let's do an Instagram live. Okay,
you want to
do that? We'll do an Instagram live when this airs. I'll make sure that I put it on my Instagram, and you and I will do a Instagram live together, and we can just have people
get questions. That would be amazing.
Yes.
Okay. Well, okay. So as far as your punchy McPunchy face dream, what okay, so do you wake up during this dream in the morning?
Let me think. I think I wake up in the morning. Yep.
And how many times would you say you're having? Is it every night?
No, I've had these every once in a while, but I've probably had them at least 4 or 5 times over the course of a couple of years.
Okay. So initially what I'm thinking, and based on everything we talked about in the last episode, is that if you're having a reoccurring dream that you wake up from in the morning, and it's happening more than, it's recurring, so it happens more than once, it most likely means it's too much to vent in one night. So if you're venting it out and then maybe re-experiencing some themes in your life where this dream might be like, hey, I know what to do to fix that. Let's have this dream again so you can vent this stuff out some more. Then sometimes that's the case where you only have the dream when a certain thing is happening. Have you noticed any kind of themes like that when you do have this dream?
I will be more aware of it now if I do. I can't remember if there was anything at that time, like what the theme might be.
Yeah.
But I definitely have had these dreams. I think I've had that dream maybe the last year or so.
So you said help me say that word. Infuriating.
Infuriating.
I keep trying to say inferior. That's not the right word.
So it's like an infuriating dream, like an
infuriating and frustrating, I would imagine.
Yeah.
So say more things about like the emotion.
During it is like the person's laughing at me because I didn't even hurt them, didn't touch them, didn't affect them.
Is it ever a specific person or is it just like random people?
Just a random person.
Guys, if you ever see her on the street, just don't mess with her, okay? She's just punching people.
I have an episode called What the Actual, and it's me talking about this time that I got in a huge fight with some guy at the dog park.
What? Which dog park?
Right on Whitnall and Cahuenga.
Oh my God.
And it's right under the power lines.
Yes, I know that dog park. I make fun of that dog park all the time. Well, when I live there, because I'm like, this is not a dog park. This is a hazard. Like, people are going to get...
Hazard. It is just sand and dirt and piss and shit everywhere. But...
And EMF frequencies.
Yeah.
Crazy. Ugh. Anyway, so you got in a fight with somebody?
Oh, yeah. I got in the fight with this guy who, he let his dogs in the park, and immediately his dog attacked mine.
No.
And was so sweet and would never, ever hurt another dog. And the dog was on top of mine, and he was just standing there. So I went and I ripped his dog off of mine by the dog's neck. And he was like, don't touch my fucking dog. And I was like, fuck yeah. Like, you think you are. I went in, and my reaction, because I was close to him, was just to go punch him in the face. But instead, I just jumped up in the air, and I was like, get the fuck out of here before I fucking literally strangle you. And you're lucky that your dog is alive right now. Like, you're lucky that I like animals, because I would probably destroy you or your dog because of what it did to my dog. Yeah.
Is your dog okay?
Oh, yeah, she was okay. She was just really startled up.
Oh, my goodness.
She was, like, panting really heavily. And when we went back to the dog park, because I didn't want her to be afraid. And I don't really like the dog park anymore because people just bring their dogs who are just psycho and they don't have any type of obedience. But she was super defensive and still will get a little bit like if a dog comes near her, she'll give this like nice growl, this, just to tell him to fuck off.
Just like you, huh?
100.
Don't mess with me.
Don't mess with me. Not today.
Well, it could. Do you ever reference that time when you have the dream? Have you had the dream before that happened?
Oh, yeah. Before that happened.
Before it happened. Okay. So it's not really like a direct correlation to that specific.
I gotta say, when I have had these dreams, I've thought about them. Like, why would I have a dream about punching someone? And I think to me at that time, I was like, I don't want people thinking I'm weak or I can't stand up for myself. Or that I don't want people thinking they can take advantage of me and take advantage of who I am as a person. That I like show them this is what will happen if you cross my line. And in the dream, I'm just like a psycho.
Do you know what you just did?
I just analyzed my own dream.
You totally did.
Woo!
But here's the good. It's like, okay, I've analyzed it. Well, now what? What do I do with that? Right. But here's why the time of night is so important. We know what the dream means. Now, why did you have that dream? Because you're venting it out. Simple. You're venting it out. You're getting rid of these feelings of what I'm putting words in your mouth, but I would refer to inadequacy or it's funny. I almost said inferior because inferiority comes up, maybe it was a Freudian slip that was supposed to happen, but, something like I don't need to feel that way anymore. And I don't even need to like have that fear. So I'm going to process it out. And here's how my brain translates that processing. It's going to make me dream about this because that makes sense to me. Does it make sense to me? Hell no. Do you know why nobody cares about other people's dreams? Because the emotion is not attached to it.
Exactly.
There's no emotion to it. If I told you that dream and there was no emotion, you'd be like, okay, cool.
Yep.
But I'm like, no, but dude, it was so like profound because I'm speaking from my emotion of the dream.
Right.
That's why emotion is the emotion, I'm telling you, the emotion is the anchor of what the dream is for. It's the purpose of the dream is the emotion, whether you're venting it out or trying to predict what's going to happen next, or just getting rid of the stuff that you don't need anymore, which is why you rarely ever remember your wishful thinking phase, which is the first stage of dreaming. It's like the mail truck that you happened to see as you were driving. Like that kind of stuff is in the wishful thinking. And it doesn't mean it doesn't happen in the venting. It just means it's way less likely to because you've already kind of gotten rid of it in the first stage.
I wish it was swapped where it's like thinking the laddie does, you know?
Yes, exactly. Exactly. Yeah, that would be interesting.
Yeah, for sure. Now, okay, I'm going to ask some people who had asked me. We talked about the flying and falling and the dreams, and somebody asked, why do we have? And these are two questions that I think everyone can relate to. Both questions are, why do we have repetitive dreams, and why do I wake up covered in sweat?
Good questions. Okay, so number one, we kind of already covered it with the repetitive recurring dreams. I would say to whoever submitted that question, what time of night are you having it? If it's in the morning when you wake up, it's probably something that is too big of a chunk to just vent out at once. So it's going to come up, as we mentioned with yours, it's going to come up in certain times of your life when it's kind of repeating itself and there's still some leftover stuff to get rid of, but it's always in your favor, always. Mm-hmm. So even if you wake up in a jealous rage, know that it's just your emotion that is attached to that feeling that you no longer need anymore. Okay.
Awesome.
I don't know. I could say more about it, but I pretty much said it all already.
Yeah, you did. You covered that. I just was covering it again. So
yeah,
because there was a lot of people who asked, and now they know. And then covered in sweat dreams. What do you think?
Okay, so this I always harken back to okay, first it could be a diagnosable physiological thing. You know, I know a lot of people who just have an overactive sweat ability. I don't know what you call it. They just all sorts of stuff.
Yeah,
all sorts of physiological reasons to be sweating. From a hypnotherapy standpoint, remember I said that not every subconscious is the same. So in terms of the subconscious types, there are two general types of subconscious. One is literal and the other one is inferential or like analytical, right? So the inferential person is going to constantly be overthinking. I know it's going to be you already. Overthinking, it's going to always have wheels turning. It's going to look for the deeper meaning, even if there isn't one from the other person. You're going to wonder what the heck you meant by that, even if there is no deeper meaning, you know. You're designed and wired to read between the lines. Okay. Now the literal person doesn't need any of that. You tell me what you want me to do and that's it. Okay. Right. That's all I need. Just give me the basics. I don't need a lot of information. However, it's when that's the input. That's how you take in information. How you give information, how you relate to the world around you is going to be the opposite of how you take it. So the literal person who's like, I don't need a lot of information, just tell me what you want me to do. I just take everything at face value. When they speak, when they relate to the world, they're going to give you every detail under the sun. They're going to wear their heart on their sleeve. They're going to really kind of generally extroverted, but they don't always have to be. Generally outgoing, but they don't always have to be. Now, the analytical person is like, give me the deeper meaning. I'm going to think about every little thing you tell me. So be careful with your words and tell me for real. Look for, read between the lines. But when you're speaking, you're going to be very to the point. You're not going to be a lot of details. You're going to be like, short, not short, but like cut and dry, very cut and dry when you speak. Input, output's going to be the opposite, which is why opposites attract so well. If you have a literal person, ideally they would match up very well with an inferential person because how they're speaking is exactly how the inferential person takes in information and vice versa. Is everybody going to be on the same page every day? No one is 100% of everything, of anything. So we're all this beautiful mixture of like this analytical and literal cocktail. And so how we relate to the world can change based on how we feel that day, based on which shoe we're kind of wearing. But dominantly in your core, you're going to feel like one or the other.
Right.
Make sense? So in terms of sleep, now we have this thing in sleep. Again, physiological. I would always go with that first. Check to see if it's a physiological thing going on or if you are too hot when you're sleeping, something like that. But especially with the analytical people, with the people who tend to overthink, they have a very different sleep experience than literal people, generally speaking. So there's this thing called tonic motor inhibition when you're sleeping. That means when you fall asleep, there's something like an anesthesia that kind of moves throughout your body, which prevents you, even though you're dreaming of running a marathon, it prevents you from getting up and running around your house.
Right.
Okay. Tonic motor inhibition, you're not going to be moving that much in your sleep. Certain types of suggestibility, certain types of people will, okay, that's where sleepwalking comes from, sleep eating, all these kinds of things. They have a disconnect with that tonic motor inhibition. They act out their dreams. Are you acting out your dreams? Are you feeling them so intensely that it's showing up in terms of sweat? There's so many reasons why you would be sweating when you sleep. Again, a lot of them physiological, but they also could have to do with how you're interpreting your dreams and how you're experiencing that.
Right.
Does that make sense?
Total sense. And I should have my friend, I won't say her name, but she would totally be like, yeah, no problem. Her fiance has to lock up their cabinets at night. Every single night has like a lock code, because at night she will get up and she will eat like ramen, like completely raw. She will just destroy everything. So in the morning,
oh my goodness gracious,
yet she has to wake him up like, can you unlock the cabinets, you know?
Oh,
I should have her come over and when we do the Instagram live, and we can talk about it a little bit more. So
that is amazing. Wow.
too, yeah. So
I've never actually met a sleep eater like that. I've met a lot of sleepwalkers, sleep talkers, snorers, jaw clenchers, and all of that. Okay, so especially the clenching of the jaw in your sleep.
Mm-hmm.
I know it doesn't have that much to do with dreams, but if you know somebody that clenches,
Me.
You do?
Mm-hmm.
You're biting your lip too.
Like, yeah, I bite my lip when I don't feel good. Like constantly. Like me and my mom do the
like
same.
Nervous?
No.
Or just like sick?
Yeah, like my body feels like it's fighting something. So me and my mom do the same thing. We start biting our lips and ripping up the skin.
Yeah.
And that's our indicator that we don't feel that good.
So aside from, diagnosable injuries to the jaw or things like that, if it's just a thing you do, 9 times out of 10, it's a inhibition with communication. You are trying to get out and vent out what you can't say when you're awake.
Wow. Yeah, that makes total sense. Mm-hmm.
If you know somebody that does, or if you are somebody that does, really look at where in your life you aren't able to express yourself or speak your truth or live your authenticity, because that will come out in the dreams. It will come out in the sleep. The mind-body connection is real, y'all, and it will show up. It will get out eventually in one way or another, whether you decide to let it out or whether it just finds a way to let it out itself.
Right. So nobody with a husband that clenches their jaw, do not grab them and be like, "What are you not telling me?"
Yeah, don't do that. No. But maybe bring it up. Like, do you feel like you can tell me everything? Do you feel like you can express yourself? Do you feel like you can communicate? Same with kids, like grinding teeth, that kind of thing.
So I mean, this
definitely.
all connects to it 100%.
Yeah.
The jaw, and I 100% believe that. So really, really interesting.
Loving the crap out of this conversation.
I am so loving all of this. I'm like, let's go away. So I know, it makes total sense. It'd be probably so much easier to have the person who asked the question to be here to analyze. But I will, obviously, a lot of people brought up the whole, I'm having sexual dreams with people that I've never had sexual encounters with. I'm cheating. I'm having sexual interactions with people who are not sexual people. So I know that this is probably a wide variety for everybody, and it's different for everybody else. But what have you been able to take from that, or have heard of it before, been able to analyze in some way?
Okay, so I am probably going to serve these questions best by helping them get started with the analyzing of their own dreams. So again, I would say go back to the time of night you're having the dream. Go back to the emotion attached to these dreams. Is it an amorous emotion, or is it angry? Is it nervous? Really dig into what those emotions are. That's going to be a key. Again, we talked about time of night. I would say it can't be physiological unless you're sleep sexing someone. I mean, it could be, I guess. The way your mind translates things is all kinds of ways. So who knows what that symbol means for you. But that's another thing I would say too, is how much of it is literal and how much of it is a symbol, right? I think for me, sex and intimacy represents vulnerability.
Yeah.
Is this somebody you would like to be vulnerable with, not necessarily naked with, but vulnerable and be able to be authentic with, or what does the sex represent? What does sex mean to you? What does that connection symbolize for you? And what does it have to do with this person?
Right.
And if you still don't have those answers, journal the crap out of it or send me a message.
Yes.
I mean, I love helping people do, like, this is such a fun facet of my job that I don't really get to do that often. So when somebody does message me with a dream, I'm like, oh yeah, let's talk about it. I'm excited to do that.
Like a bonus.
But mainly, what does the symbol of sex mean? Because it is a metaphor, okay? Always. It's a metaphor, it's a symbol, it's not actually happening. So we need to look at what the mind is translating that into and what is the emotion of the dream.
Okay.
I guarantee it will connect in some way.
Yeah, absolutely. That makes total sense. And I think that is a great thing for a variety of people, not just one person. So I really like that. There was also another one where it was, which I've also experienced too, and I was glad someone brought this up, is having that slow-mo dreams where you can't run fast enough and you can't get away, or everything's just slow motion.
Okay. Most of those dreams, if you were to wake up in the middle of it, most of those dreams, you will actually probably be moving part of your body. And the reason it's so hard to move in the dream is because your physical body is heavy because of that, as we talked about, that tonic motor inhibition, that almost like anesthesia heaviness that happens when you sleep. You're probably trying to run.
Wow.
And that's why it feels
crazy.
so hard. My son had that dream once, and he's like, and I know that dream very well, of course.
Yeah.
I'm older, but the first time he had it, he was like, I was trying to run and I couldn't run. And it was like so hard. It was so scary. And I was like, oh baby, don't worry about it. That one I think would probably more than likely be more physiological, because your tonic motor inhibition is just not working the way that it should be at that moment, or maybe you're in the process of waking up already, and so your body's just trying to like
just
lift,
you're literally
lift the arm. Yeah,
dead weight is trying
exactly.
to move.
Mm-hmm.
That's so cool. I never even knew that or thought of that. I love it. And this was a really cool one, was natural disaster dreams, such as tsunamis, tornadoes, hurricanes, fires. And somebody also, and I'll kind of twist this into it, somebody said, with the political unrest in the world, can it cause more disturbing dreams? I mean, like you've said, where are these coming from? Is it the psychological part? And so I think that would make sense, because this woman, I think it was a woman, said, for a sensitive person, I feel like I have more disturbing dreams because of what's going on in the world.
Yeah. So 100% agree with that. I think that when stuff like this is going on, it definitely can. Because here's the thing, like we mentioned in the first part of this, dreams are generally seen as the process of venting out, releasing, processing information that you can't do in your cognitive state. It's and if you're stressed out, of course it's going to be a stressful night's sleep. If you're stressed during the day, all you're doing in the dream is taking that stress to your dream so that it can be processed and released. And,
right.
And this brings me to a really funny analogy that I learned when I was studying dream therapy, is the subject of like doing drugs or alcohol before you go to bed. It's like, imagine your mind is having like a party, right? And everybody is like going crazy, and like, all kinds of shipments are coming in of information, and everybody's having a good time and everything's going on. And then and then the people that are supposed to clean up your mind at night, you get them really drunk. Yeah. And then you fall asleep. Are they going to do a great job cleaning? No. Are they going to do the job that you're used to them doing? And are you going to be processing stuff the way you should be processing? No, they're drunk.
Yes. Exactly. Yeah.
So the same can be said for stress. And of course, I'm not saying, hey, just don't be stressed out. It's fine. Just feel better. What I am saying is, of course, these things are connected. Of course, it's going to follow you into your dreams. The good news is that the dream state and the mind is so impeccably amazing that it is actually designed to help you release that stress in sleep. While you are sleeping, you are releasing. So are you going to remember those dreams? Probably. Are you going to be stressed out in those dreams? Of course, because that's what you're venting out.
Right.
Is it all going to happen in one dream? Probably not, because it's a big thing. The more stress you feel, the more time it's going to take.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, 100% correlated, 100% a real thing. And, the best thing you can do for yourself is to create a calming atmosphere before bed. Really remind yourself what you're grateful for. Really remind yourself of all the stuff going right, all the stuff that's good in your life and all the reasons to love waking up in the morning. Thanking your bed for being comfortable, really showing that gratitude can just do wonders for your sleep cycle, the type of dreams you have, and just how you feel. I mean, how you feel in general. It's just such a great thing to do anyway.
I agree. And when you put in those good thoughts and those good feelings, and it's just gonna kind of come back to you in full circle because that's what energy does. You put it out, you get it back.
Absolutely. Totally.
So I love that. Really great. There was also some people have a dream inside of a dream.
Yes. Okay, I did this once and it was amazing. I had a dream that I was dreaming something, and I don't really, of course, you don't remember what it is because just as you're venting out, you kind of lose the emotions and you lose the scenes of the dream, and you just remember snippets. That is totally normal. That is supposed to happen. They're designed to be forgettable, but yeah. And I woke up in the dream and told my husband about the dream, and I wasn't even awake. I was still sleeping. It was the weirdest thing. It's just so cool. I think
Yep.
that, like, science aside, I think that that's just one of the really, really cool, like Inception, right? It's like one of the really cool things that our minds can just do.
Mm-hmm. I agree.
I don't know. Honestly, I don't know what they're for. I don't know that there's any
That's
science behind that. I
Yep.
just think it's one of those cool little Easter eggs that our minds are like, you know what I can do? Let
I
me
go,
show
and it's two yolks, not one.
Exactly. Yes, that's perfect. Exactly.
You're
Exactly.
a
Hey,
pleasant surprise. It's a double whammy.
exactly. Yeah, that's
I
amazing.
like that. And I love your honesty too. It's so perfect. So, oh, this is a good one too. Having dreams that you're pregnant, but you're not. I know I've woken up from those. I'm like, oh God, I'm not there yet. Thank God. But
So,
yeah.
perfect. Pregnancy, if it's not actually happening to you, is a symbol. What does pregnancy symbolize for you? What is it? What is the metaphor there? And where in your life are you experiencing that, or where in your life do you need to release that? So pregnancy could be, just birthing a new idea. It
Mm,
could be a change in your lifestyle or your life at the time. It could be adapting to new situations. I mean, God, whatever. There's so
yeah.
many.
Yeah. That
And
makes
that's why
sense.
dream dictionaries are just, I mean, they're fun,
Right.
but
Right.
they're
They're
so,
not accurate to you and they're not accustomed to you and what you
yeah.
think
And I
that.
just feel like they're just compared to what you have in there, what you have in your mind, they're just so bland compared, so watered down compared to what your vibrant images actually mean. Do you know
Hmm.
what I mean? It's just
Absolutely.
silly.
Yes, yes.
Silliness.
I agree. And I think that's awesome and really good to know because honestly, I definitely have always questioned like are dream books and like looking on Google. I mean, that seems like it's pretty big, how do
Mhm.
they know? I don't know. But then I'm always like, don't question things that you don't know about. Like I'm
Right.
not educated on it. And so I think that's awesome and it's really cool to know. There were some there were some questions that made me literally LOL, like laugh out loud. This is pretty cool is somebody said my mom, my sister, I'm sorry, my mom, my aunt, and her daughter, something along those lines, all have, so it's a mom, a sister, and a daughter. They all have the same dream. They have bubble gum in their mouth and they keep pulling it and pulling it and pull it, and it keeps going until they wake up. So these are three different people who've had the same exact dream of pulling this bubble gum out of their mouth. I
Okay,
was laughing. It was awesome.
this is where, okay, first of all, symbols are crazy. What does bubblegum mean to you? But I will say, I one time had the same dream as my brother. Um, And to me, like, we woke up from the dream and we're like, guess what I dreamed about? You were in it. And he was like, I had a dream about you. And this is what happened. And it was the same dream. Okay. And to me, that is like, throw the knowledge out the window. My soul was connected to his in that moment, for sure. Now, it's not surprising that a mother and a daughter and a sister, you said? Mother, daughter, sister?
It's like a mom and her sister and like her daughter.
So mom, aunt, daughter.
Yeah, a mom and a daughter, I'm pretty sure.
Okay. Well, either way.
Niece, like a mom and a niece and like the sister. So, yeah.
So no matter what, close family connection.
Yes.
Close soul connection. Like maybe they just decided on a soul level to hang out that night and like see what kind of craziness they could get up to. Is it a recurring dream? Does it say?
Yes, it is the same dream. Or I don't think it was recurring. I think it was just the same.
They just had the same dream.
Yeah.
Now the fact that it's bubblegum, what bubblegum means to me is something. It represents fun for sure. It represents play and childhood and lightheartedness and free. What does it mean to them?
Right.
And maybe that's where they chose to share that emotion.
Cool.
Dreams, we will never, here's the thing, man. We will never know the hard and fast rules of the mind because I don't think there are any. And in the same way, we'll never know the depths of what our dreams could possibly have in terms of potential. But from that's where your intuition comes in. That's where your belief systems come in and what you decide you are comfortable and what makes you feel that it's true. And this is the stuff that I feel is true. But as far as like the certain symbols and stuff, that's all you guys. That is all you. And what an amazing thing.
Yeah. Everyone's going to be analyzing and I love it. I feel like we need like a dream club.
Now when you say, can I get a dream interpreter? You'll have like a million. This is the point is I want everybody to feel so empowered that they now know everything I know, or, very close to it in terms of dreams. Yeah. What?
So glad it was you that was like I am. I mean, Instagram is so open. It's so it can reach so many different people. So I'm so grateful. And I always ask the universe for the highest and the best. The highest, the best, the most truthful, the most amazing, the most happy, energetic, good stuff. And I'm so glad. So I'm so glad it was you, and just so grateful. So you have to know how grateful I am for you. Another LOL dream was somebody said, I'm constantly in a dream, or in this one dream, pulling black hair elastics out of my ear.
Holy crap.
It made me laugh so hard. And she wrote like LMFAO, like, I know it's crazy, but this is what it is. Again, I'm sure, maybe this is just me thinking because you've got my mind thinking. Yeah. I'm like, okay, well, the ear, you're listening. Are you having a hard time listening? Are you not like taking it in and what people are saying? I don't know. And like, what does a hair elastic mean to her? Does it mean
what is a hair elastic? Are you talking about like a hair tie?
Yeah, hair tie. Yeah,
hair tie. Okay. Gotcha. I was like, what's a hair elastic? What is it?
That must be an East Coaster, because East Coasters say hair elastics, I'm pretty sure, because I say hair elastic.
Oh, really? Where are you from originally?
Boston, from Massachusetts.
Boston! Oh, nice.
Where you were from Michigan, that's where
Michigan.
You're from.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think it depends on where you grew up in the country. It's either hair tie or hair elastic, so.
Yeah, that's interesting. I never heard hair elastic before. Okay, so yeah, again, I see, here's the thing, is I was going to say, well, let's do it together. What do you think? Now you're the expert too. So yeah, I would say definitely focus on the time of night, emotion. Is it a certain time period of your life? Like, how old are you in the dream? Are you your age? Is it present day? Is it in the past? Check the themes around you. That could be, maybe you're hearing something that's hard to hear. Maybe there's some hard truths coming. Maybe, I don't know. Again, it's hard when they're not sitting here and I can't be like, so what's going on with your life? And let's really get some clarity around this. But definitely some food for thought and some questions to be asking yourself. The stage of the dream stage is super important, as is the emotion and the object, the symbol that's in the dream, the hair elastic. I mean, what does that mean to you? What does the hair elastic mean to you? I don't even know if I've ever thought twice about what a hair elastic means to me, but maybe she has a meaning. Maybe when she really digs in and thinks about it, like, well, here's what I think about when I think about hair elastic, putting my hair in a ponytail. Maybe that's more a professional look. Now I'm putting ideas in her head and I don't want to do that, but really dig in and see like what it means. And the fact that it's the ear is probably the biggest symbol as is the emotion. She didn't put the emotion she was feeling in it, which just tells me that's something that people don't really do. I mean, I know I didn't before I learned this stuff. So
Yeah.
really focus on how you're feeling. How does it feel to be pulling this stuff out? Are you just like, what the crap's going on? Are you excited to clear it out? Like, what's going on? What is going on beneath the surface in the symbols?
So freaking awesome. And to me,
Never heard that before, ever.
yeah, it's like hair elastic for hair ties. To me, it's like, up, throwing my hair up, don't give a fuck. So for
Right.
me, and again, not putting yourself in her head too, it'd be like, well, I don't really give a fuck what you're saying, so I'm not listening.
Yeah.
You
See?
know?
And if you
So
had that dream, there you go. Cut and dry meaning. But that's why, again, that's why dream books are crap, because it means something different to everybody.
100%. Oh, this is awesome. Let's see. And the other LOL dream that made me laugh out loud was my cousin Stasha, who's been on my podcast. So a lot of you have heard her. I had no idea she had this dream, and it made me laugh. She said she has a repeating dream about a gorilla, a red convertible, and a lady in a black mullet wig with a gun chasing her. I'm like, I that to me just had me dying laughing, and I know who she is as a person, so I probably already analyze this for her, but I won't say it because that's her business. But
I don't even know where to start with this one. What do I start with? The mullet? The gorilla?
the red
What do I start?
the gun? I'm not sure. Yeah,
I mean,
I'll just tell her to listen to this, and then she can go ahead and analyze it. I'll
and
tell
everyone else listening is also analyzing it as well.
her 100%. They're gonna be like, what was going on in your life? What do these all represent?
Okay, so without giving too much away, when I ask you, like, because you said you were analyzing it, but you don't want to like give it away or anything, does it make sense
Yes, some of it
for her?
absolutely makes
Some
sense.
of it does.
Yeah, 100%. Where I'm
Yeah.
just like, yeah, that would fit. I know how her brain works, and I know what I know how her brain works. I know what she fears. I know her emotions for a lot of things. She's my sister.
Yeah.
We're so incredibly close, and we've both have gone through a lot together. I don't know when this started, and which is kind of crazy. We're recording this episode on March 5th today, 2020, and March 5th, 16 years ago, her brother passed away. And I can say that we see red Mustangs, those convertible Mustangs, we think of him. So, I kind of go into all those things, but I also know what she, struggles with and what she fears and all that stuff. So I can absolutely just have her listen to the first part of this episode, and I think she'll be able to figure it out all on her own. I really do. And that she'll be able to remember what time of night was it, what were we feeling, all that good stuff that you've taught us. So that was the other LOL dream that I just had to say because it had me dying.
Funny. Oh my goodness.
Yes, it was really good. But I honestly think, there were so many questions, but a lot of them I tried to tie into one another. I also tried to, pick the ones that people can relate to most. But I know a lot of people were also asking, and I think this was interesting, this is huge for the medium world, and I always mention it. There are live visits that do happen where your loved ones come in, right?
Yeah.
So for me, I tell people those dreams that are real, where they're hugging you, like, I'm okay, I'm doing okay, everything's gonna be fine, or they mention something to you and you feel it and it feels good. And yes, it's bittersweet and you miss them so much, but it like gives you a little pep in your step to keep going. But then there's also the dreams where you have those dreams of your loved ones, but they're scary, they're freaky, they seem angry in those dreams. And I remind people, when you have those dreams, your subconscious mind, that's not your real visitation dream.
Thank you.
Yes. Woohoo!
There's no soul that has nothing better to do than come back and freak you out in your dream and make you feel crappy. There's no soul that you loved on this earth that would do that. So if that's happening, it's coming from you, darling. And it's just stuff you got to work out. And that might be the good news or that might be the bad news for you, both. Like, usually it's both.
Towel, I'm not sure. I'm going to have to ask him what the hell, I know that's not him, but I'm going to work through that. Maybe because I hate hot pink towels, I don't know. But
maybe he was just trying to be funny.
I know, and that would be him 100%. He was a goofball. So, but the real live visits are the ones where they're connecting. And I love that you also, in the midnight study, you're like, yes. What are your thoughts?
So I really am a firm believer that when we're going through grief, especially when it's fresh, right? Especially when you have so much emotion and it feels like your life's upside down. I feel like it's really hard for our loved ones to get through to us in those moments because we are so low in vibration, and they've just elevated to like crazy high vibration. So they're like, and I know I've heard a lot of people get frustrated. Like, I told them to come visit me when they die and they haven't, and I'm they're not there, and it's just they're questioning everything they believe. And so I feel really called to say that, okay, so you're just too low in vibration. Just let yourself heal for a minute, okay? They want to give you time. They need time. They're adjusting as well. There needs to be
myself. Love you said that. Continue. Oh my God, it was so good.
Dude, I love you. We're just like a match made in heaven, I swear.
I wish you were still in North Hollywood. I'd be like, I want to go grab a drink now.
Totally. But I'll be thinking of you when I have my wine just now, right after this call. But so when they do, what I want to say is when they do, like my brother, bless him, I have 4 brothers, and the one I'm referring to is the same one every time. He's the best. He's like my twin. He's the male version of me, I say. So he had a dream about my grandfather shortly after my grandfather passed on my birthday, by the way, in 2016, of course. I kind of took it as a compliment. I was like, thanks, Grandpa. Now this day's like special even more for both of us, because I've always been it's like, I don't want to seem insensitive, but death is, generally speaking, when my grandparents have died and other people that have close to me, I've kind of looked at it as like, great, I can talk to you anytime I want now. Yeah. Granted, my parents are still alive. I have zero idea how I'm going to feel when that happens, or when my spouse, passes, or anything like that. So I just grandparents, and knowing they were in pain and feeling grateful that they're okay, right? And so I'm like, I can talk to you anytime I want. And I do, believe me, I do. I talk to them all the time. But my brother had a dream about my grandpa. And I remember him saying, like, my grandpa was just like smiling at him, right? Didn't really say much. He was just smiling. And my brother was like, I'm so sorry I didn't come to see you more. I'm sorry I didn't call more. The normal things. I have so many regrets about not connecting as much as I wanted to. And my grandpa just looked at him and smiled. He goes, he didn't say anything, but I felt like so much like for love, and like there's nothing to forgive, and like I'm okay. And like in that moment, he just got the wave crash on him of like, I'm wonderful and everything's fine. And it had been a while, and we were never terribly close to my grandparents. We were never like super connected in that way. But of course, I love them dearly, and I know he did, and I know he internalized a lot of regret because he lived so close. I was in LA still, and he lived so close, and he never got a chance. He's got kids, he's got a life of his own. And so I think that most of the time those visitations are just to let us know they're fine. They're not coming back for them. They're coming back for you. Yeah. They're coming back to let you know it's okay. No regrets. Nothing was left unsaid. I love you. I'm good. I'm fine. And I hope you are too. And you won't always get that in words, will you? You'll always get that in feeling. That's
what I tell people, is that you might not get a conversation. They might be standing off in the distance, waving at you and smiling.
We do this in hypnosis all the time, not just with loved ones. I mean, we can do it with loved ones in the subconscious. We can do it with spirit guides. We can do it with just symbols for, bring up an image for confidence, bring up an image for fear. Okay, let's talk to it. What does it want you to know? What does it need in order to be released, or in order for you to have more of it, whatever it is. And I always say, allow it to respond in a way you can understand.
Mm-hmm.
Done. Blankets, you don't need words. It's all telepathy. And in our soul, higher wisdom, in our spiritual being, it's all telepathy. It's all emotion. We are emotionally driven creatures, spiritually and biologically. So when you're getting those visitations, yes, feel the feelings. Really tap into those emotions. Again, if it happened in the subconscious, it happened because of the emotion that's attached to it. So whether you're venting it out or whether you're welcoming more of it, it happened on some level. So it all depends on the feeling. And again, if you don't feel connected to whatever image is showing you, or you feel scared, or you feel anything negative, no loved one is going to want you to feel that.
Never, ever.
And they will make sure to wait until you're ready for a real, true visitation, and you will feel the difference 100%.
I so appreciate you saying all of that. because it is the absolute truth. And just mentioning that you're in a lower vibration, because I tell people all the time, heaven's energy is a lot like electricity. It is a fast, fast vibration. It is so strong, so quick. It's like lightning, you can't grab it. And that your energy, if you're stressed out, you're angry, you're grieving so heavily, it's going to bring you to a lower vibration energetically. And it's just, that's what
naturally.
Yeah,
seriously,
and,
like hold space for yourself, honor yourself, and hold space for that emotion. It is not. I have a friend right now who's dealing with the loss of her mother, and say, grief is not a straight line. You will feel fine for weeks, and then all of a sudden you'll be a mess on the floor, and that is normal. That is okay, and you need to just hold space for yourself and just honor your feelings, because it's always a message. Like, what is my mind and body trying to process? What is it trying to tell me? And really honor it.
Go through the peaks and valleys, baby. You're going to have your peaks, you're going to have your valley days. And you're just going to have to own it, allow it, give yourself permission, don't fight it. Just breathe through it moment by moment.
Absolutely.
And you are just phenomenal.
How did we get to this conversation?
I love everything.
You've gone all over the map today, and I love it.
I am so appreciative of you too for taking extra time, because usually I do about like 45 minutes to an hour, and you're just so gracious, and you're like, okay, let's keep talking because I got so much to say. Yeah. You seriously have broke down the dreams with so much information that it has made me open my mind so much. I love learning. I love learning spiritually things, mind, body, soul, and you were able to give that to us in the last episode and today with these dreams. And I know everybody's going to start interpreting and symbolizing.
Yes. And tell me your interpretations, dude. I would love to hear them.
Yeah,
for sure.
Can they reach you again?
Well, on Instagram, Lynnsey Robinson, on Twitter, Lynnsey Robinson, Facebook, Lynnsey Robinson, lynnsey.robinson.com. You can come find me at my house, but you have to find my address first. But I'm everywhere. Just Google me, and I'm mostly active social media wise on Instagram. We didn't talk about the podcast. I do have a podcast weekly as well.
Yes.
I do a weekly podcast with my co-host Kelsey Aida, who's a manifestation guru, and she's an author and just like an empowerment figure. She's so fun. She's so great. And I, of course, am a hypnotherapist and do the subconscious / mindset stuff. And we just weekly get on our little microphones and tell people our experiences with feeling better, being happier, overcoming blocks, what and how to manifest, and tips that way, and all kinds of stuff that empowers you, inspires you, and just keeps you moving through the stuff that's currently holding you back. And it's so fun.
That is amazing. And what is it called?
Oh, sorry. Of course. Geez, Lynnsey. It's called High Vibin' It. That's VIBIN with no G. High Vibin' It. And you can listen to it literally anywhere that podcasts are being streamed. Ooh, we are moving though. So if you find the show, go to highvibinit.com. Again, it's no G, VIBIN, highvibinit.com, and get on the mailing list if you're interested in the show, because we will be moving platforms. And so the current version of the show might have to be re-uploaded as a new version of the show. But we're not stopping. We're just transitioning. We just happen to be right in the middle of the transition. So I don't want to be like, subscribe, because then it won't count in like 2 weeks.
Right. Okay. Yep. Wait until they're fully transitioned into the next, but definitely check them out. I can't even wait to listen to you guys. I would love to meet Kelsey. I think that was fun, and I can't wait to subscribe when you're all set and ready to go. And I think that people that's like therapy. It really is. It's spiritual therapy, so much more than that. But I just can't thank you enough. And if you guys are finding Lynnsey on social media, it's Lynnsey, LYNNSEY Robinson. And you are just so freaking awesome. So glad you reached out to me. I'm so grateful for your time, seriously. And I can't wait to have both of these episodes up on my podcast, which you guys can subscribe as well. Rate it. If you can leave a review while you're sitting on the toilet or something, that would be awesome. And
make sure you have to be sitting on the toilet first, or it doesn't count.
Yeah, you have to be sitting on the toilet, because I think that's where your most thoughts come out. That's where you're venting it.
You're venting a lot of stuff at that point. Let's be real.
Yep. And I would so appreciate it. Rate it 5 stars, because that helps other people realize if it's a great podcast. So thank you so much again, Lynnsey. I absolutely love you and adore you. You're beautiful inside and out. And I'm so, so grateful for you for letting our paths cross.
Yay, match made in heaven. This was so meant to be. I'm so happy to have been here. Thank you so much.
Thank you.